for joining. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join our webinar, Future of the Warehousing, an AI-driven guide to WMS. AI is a big topic. Everyone's talking about it, and we're going to talk about how it applies. Now, we're only going to talk about a few use cases. There's many more use cases in which AI will be used in warehouses, warehouse management, robotics across the entire ecosystem. But we've got 4 use cases we're going to talk about, which is going to take up our time on this webinar. We could probably spend the entire webinar just on one of them alone, but we're going to go guide over 4 of them and go through how we think it's going to be applied and how it's being used to really drive technology into 2025 and beyond. So let's get started here. Just a little background on JASCI, if you are familiar, not familiar. We are a cutting-edge provider of cloud-based warehouse management solutions. We combine warehouse execution, which is your conveyor systems and material handling equipment, analytics, labor management, robotics, and carrier shipping, all in a single platform. It's a composable architecture, which means it's modular. It's automation smart, which we're going to go through these various pieces of the platform in driving modern user experiences. And we drive also a versionless platform where it's continuously updated for our customer community. Okay, so let's get into it. I want to start off with what is the definition of AI. It's the buzzword that everyone is using. What the heck does it really mean? Most of us know about it with ChatGPT and what that can do, which I use every day. So I'm sure many other people do. But really, AI systems are really leveraging algorithms, data, computational power, really to analyze information, make decisions, and to continuously improve their performance over time, which is really relating to what we do in the warehouse management space. I also took some time to give, 4 areas that I think, AI relates to in a WMS. One of them, is real-time optimization, where AI analyzes, adapts warehouse operations in real time. That also may mean different things to different people, but we'll talk about a few of the use cases as we go through this. We'll start off with the dynamic slotting first. But it leverages smart decisions by looking at historical and real-time data. How do we create dynamic efficiencies in the warehouse? Gone are the days of trying to do everything manually or think about it manually. And a lot of companies may, on this webinar and others, may actually be running software, but it may be manual decisions within the software. And that's what we're going to get into. How do we start adapting to more AI ML decisions versus a semi-automated platform? So we're going to look at automation and integration, how we automate robotic systems and how we automate staff and how that starts to work together. And also we're going to talk about AI and ML, the use of algorithms. You hear neural networks, decision trees, clustering algorithms. But what are the tools to achieve their objectives, process data, make predictions and decisions? That's really what we look at, in our field. Okay, I'm going to start off with the first use case here, which is dynamic slotting. But before I start off here, if you have any questions, we're monitoring the question board. Is that correct, James?
Correct.
Okay, so if you have any questions, just type them in. We'll answer them as we go along. And if there's any questions that come up, James, I can stop and come along as well. We can make it dynamic, and and we can go through it because we're going to be going through some heavy topics here. One of those I'm going to start off with is dynamic slotting, because dynamic slotting is really important if you're going to maintain efficiencies in your warehouse. If you're not slotted correctly or you're making manual slot decisions, it's going to be very hard to really maintain the velocities You're going to be doing it all manually, running spreadsheets, sitting in conference rooms, trying to make it better. But with AI, ML type of decision making, dynamics, our dynamic slotting, we actually look at historical and real-time data to make these decisions. And where are we making these decisions? We're making them on put away, we're making them on replenishment, picking. We're making constant decisions on what happens for slotting. So you're continuously optimizing where everything goes in the warehouse. Okay, so we look at a couple different areas. We just talked about data-driven slotting optimization by looking at historical and real-time data, demand forecast, SKU velocity, to make decisions on where things should be placed, whether it's a put away or replenishment. What's the ideal places for these items to go, these SKUs to go. We also need to look at proximity and travel path minimization, because if you don't slot taking those into consideration, you're going to have issues as well. You're not going to quite get there. There's another one that I think is really important, which is dynamic reslotting, which we'll get into a use case on this, where how do we make a decision on whether we put product in the same location or home location that it normally goes in, or do we make other decisions based on the velocity or other patterns that are happening, and what is the effect to the environment? In order to really get there, it really needs to be built into the system. We're analyzing a massive amount of data. We're looking at historical data. In JASCI, we actually hold multi-years of data in our production system. So we look at a lot of this data in near real time or real time, and we have to make decisions very quickly. We can't have an operator standing there on a mobile device or a robot waiting, for us to make a decision. It's got to be done sub-second or even a second or two. You need to make these complex decisions very, very quickly. I don't know how you would do it outside of the core system. You really needs to be built in at the core. So let's go through an AI slotting example. This may be something that you're familiar with, and this is what, I just picked the use case. In this one, it could be a put away or replenishment, but we're going to deal with a put away right now, which I'm going to focus on. So let's say we had something come in on the receiving dock and we want to put it away. There's many different ways to put things away, but the way AI is working is we need to look at data. We need to analyze the data, both historical and real-time data, to make decisions. And these decisions may come in saying, hey, determine what the SKU velocity is right now. Maybe it was a B before, but maybe we've been selling more of it, we've been picking more of it, and it was a B, but now it's an A classified product, which means it should not be slotted in a B location. So the system also does the location exist that matches the SKU velocity, the velocity or the SKU, and will it fit? So if it does match, great. Will it fit? Great. We could put it there. However, if the SKU velocity changed from a B to an A, we wouldn't really want to put it there anymore. We would now want to look at a new location. So let's say in this situation, the velocity changed and it's now an A. Now we need to find a new slot. So now we're going to search in A locations to see if there's a slot available. Okay, slots are available. Now let's pick the best slot based on the factors of need and neck and other factors we want to look at. If we have a choice of positions, and will it fit? So then we slot to the new location, but now we have the product sitting in a B location. Well, how are we going to get rid of the product in the B location? Or is it just going to occupy that space forever? Or do I have to move it at a later time? So what we do in the algorithm is we automatically flag the old location to be pick clean, and then we drive all remaining picks that come in to the old location until that location's empty. Then the system will automatically switch it to the new location, to the A, to start picking from there, and release the B location for a new item. Now, it does this very quickly. It makes all of these decisions very, very fast. but it needs to be done if you want to optimize your locations, if you want to optimize time to put away or time to pick, travel time, reducing handling. Also, if you want to reduce the amount of times you need to move things, many warehouses I go into will go in conference rooms, have spreadsheets, and decide they need to bring in a crew to basically reshuffle, slotting around. This eliminates that. The only time you would ever look at reslotting now is if something's been occupying a spot and you're not selling any of it, then we really want to get it out of that location and move it to a reserve location that really is not going to be used, or get it out of the warehouse. Let's discount it, do whatever you have to do. Why occupy space for something you're really not selling? So that's one of the use cases in slotting. There are many, many more, but a properly slotted warehouse is needed if you're going to get efficiency out of the operations. Okay, next one I'm going to go into is AI analytics. It's a popular topic because everyone's dealing with ChatGPT. And why can't we get this in a warehouse management system? Why do I have to hard code reports and do all this work in reporting? Why can't I just get an AI chat and figure things out? And that's where it is headed for sure. One of the things that, and we'll go through what we're doing here. Maybe I should just do that. And then we have a full reporting platform built in. We have over 100, I think we have over a couple hundred reports now, in the platform. Let me see if I can go back here. In the platform, I think we have a couple hundred. You can tailor reports, you can email them, do pivot tables. This is all great, and it is still needed. Even if you have AI chat capability, you still need the ability to be able to look at charts and your KPIs and different things you want to look at in the platform, and really have the power to create your custom reports and look at all the data that you need to look at in a platform. Okay, so we're going to go into where it's headed. Is it headed toward AI chat capabilities? Yes, this is headed towards AI chat. AI chat will focus basically on the data within the WMS. We're in the process of teaching the AI our database structure. So basically you'll get precise responses. They'll be relevant and tailored to warehouse operations. At JASCI, we have a separate data warehouse that we run in our platform. So basically, we sync up all production transactions to a data warehouse in real time. When I say real time, within a few seconds, any transaction done in the production database will show up in the data warehouse. And we're working on AI chat right now in our development cycle. We are already on an AI database, a real AI database for our data warehouse. And now we're setting up all the chat and teaching it so our customers can use AI chat, in the future. We also have an actionable analytics capability where we have a patented gravity system, which is all analytics in real time that shows you the priorities of work and allows you to reprioritize the work in our platform in real time. It is a smart system. We did get the patent a few years ago. Analytics are great, but how do I pull up analytics and affect something? How do I change the priority of work? And that's what gravity is. So when you log in JASCI, you see your snapshots, your analytics. You can go into your dashboards, when you first log in on a full screen. Mobile devices, they go in and perform their transactions that they do. And we have a full reporting platform built in here. The center of the screen is actually being pulled from the data warehouse. That's how we maintain such fast response times for production users that are doing transactions. But if you kind of look at, version 2.0 here, you'll still have access to your dashboards and your reporting and all your reports. But now, in the not too distant future, it'll look like this. This is what we're working towards. We're not quite there yet, so don't expect it next week or two. But we are working on it actively. And when you have this AI chat capability, now you can ask questions as the data is all structured. We know it's learned all the data structures. So then you can ask the system questions and get responses back. So the goal that we're aiming towards is for, standard users to be able to go in and ask questions. So, Joe, maybe you may want to go through some of these questions real quick here. You can find your
Yeah.
mute button.
Yeah, sure. So, we came up with some samples of what someone that needs to use prompt-based access in JASCI might be asking. So, for example, you may not know exactly where in the system to look to see all of the details about the orders you shipped that day. So you can simply ask, how many orders did we ship today? Or maybe you need to track down details about something that customer service had reached out to you about, and you want to say, show me the shipping details for these 3 orders. So basically prompt-based requests where it's either a question, you can see, is there anything that's preventing allocation in inventory? And the system's going to know which tables, which columns, and everything to look into based on the keywords and the prompts that you give it. Another good one would be showing the location utilization by area. Maybe you're planning to onboard a new product, or if you're a 3PL, a new customer, and you need to ensure that you have the proper space in your facility, maybe that you're not physically in, and you want to search across the database to be able to find that information. We're going to make it that much easier so you don't have to know every single detail and in and out of JASCI to be able to get the data that you need to.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yes, that's what we're working towards. Again, not quite there yet, but we are actively working on it. And our team has been showing me demonstrations of it as well. Okay, so this is where we're headed with the chat capabilities, in WMS, making it easier for you to access your data and not have to, learn SQL and various things, to get at data that you would like to. Okay, the next area I'm going to go into is what we call our SmartTask workflow capability. So built in the JASCI platform, we have a workflow designer. And it's based on these microservices, which we'll go into. But the key to this whole technology is the ability to change and the flexibility to process things smartly. SmartTask is a patented microservices workflow platform that provides the flexibility to build warehouse process without coding projects. It's a major game changer in the industry. We did receive the patent on this technology a few years ago. So customers that use our platform are protected, and they know that that we have the patent for it. And then what we also did is we created dozens of pre-configured templates to start with, so we can jumpstart your implementation, or you can look at how best practices could work on new things that you have to do or new requirements that you come across, which I'm sure everyone does. And SmartTask automatically creates the user interface if we're dealing with mobile devices. So we don't code those. The customers don't code them. We don't code them anymore. The workflow system does it on its own dynamically. So as soon as you change a workflow, you don't have to compile, you don't have to reload things or anything. It'll automatically be generated. And next time the user goes into that workflow or you assign that workflow, you'll see the new process changes that you made in the designer. Okay, and these are like some sample of pre-configured templates for receiving, ASN receiving, PO receiving, blind receipts, returns, put away, slotting. I say we have dozens, but it's probably a lot more than that based on industry that we work in. But we got you covered on the features and functionality. And it kind of looks like this when you're in the platform. So you'll navigate, this is what your mobile screens, and we have literally a whole library of all these different workflows. And then you go into our best practice workflows and tailor them or modify them as you need to create new process. Now, what are microservices? A microservice they are independent programs. They're modular components, and you drag a bunch of them together to create a workflow. So it may be scan a barcode, right? It may say go to a location, may say allocate. There may be a lot of different things that happen in microservices in a workflow, and that was typically done by hard coding software. So now it's a drag and drop designer that, we don't have to code the same things over and over and over again and go into the same bugs and testing over and over. We know that our microservices have been pre-tested and they're being used in production. And the way we update our platform is this is a continuously updated library. So we will add microservices to the platform on a weekly, monthly basis that gives our customers new features and capability. Now, in these microservices, they're making decisions. I mean, it's a machine learning capability in some of these microservices, and they're analyzing data and making decisions for put away, picking, replenishment, packing. There's workflows for everything in our platform, and they are making decisions as you utilize these workflows. Now, AI workflow guidance is something new that we're in concept of. So to design a workflow with all the processes, we're in concepting how AI can help generate the workflow, optimally generate the workflow you want with our whole microservices library. So we have over 1,000 different microservices to work from. How can we make it easier for customers to chat and create an AI, create a workflow, having the AI assist? That's something we're in concept of. It's not available today, but those we're even trying to make it easier, for customers to create their own workflows.
Craig, we actually have a question
Sure.
from Dan here. So he said, what challenges are businesses facing today in adopting AI-driven warehouse solutions such as a WMS, and what are some ways to overcome these challenges?
Well, the biggest challenge that we're trying to address here is mostly eliminate manual decisions. A lot of these warehouses, even if you use software, were driven by manual decisions. And it's not possible to analyze all this data in real time. So really, where we are at and where the future is to have the system guide the workers through a very simple, easy to use interface. And they don't have to think about where does this product go? What's the next item I need to pick? And that's, if I back up here for a second, as you go through the mobile device, as you create workflows in JASCI, all the screens look the same, so training becomes very easy. You'll notice that we make the screens very simplistic for end users to utilize so they can follow a process. We don't overload the screens for them. And then we provide them buttons on the bottom, to basically answer questions or provide reasons for things. But we try to guide them through the process to make it simpler. And really, they're just following the process, which, typically users get trained, on these type of mobile systems now. It used to take days. Now we're talking hours to really train staff. So we're really just trying to make it easier to use with the user interfaces and guide them through their job. I don't know if that answers the question, but that's really what these tools are made for, to make it easier. It's complex running some of these warehouses. Okay. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Alita. What the heck is Alita? It's a name we made up, called Autonomous Labor Intelligent Dynamic Assignment. So in typical warehouse operations, users will come in and managers will decide what they're going to work on, where they're going to work, and where the work is, and assign them. And also this will, impact robotics as well. So the goal of Alita is based on this new thing called missions. Okay, what is my mission? My mission is going to be working and receiving. My mission is going to be working in, well, I don't know, zone 2 for picking. My mission is going to be, I'm going to work, the dock. I'm going to work on the shipping dock. These are missions. And the software, there's all the data in the WMS. We know how many receipts we have. We know how many putaways we need to do. We know how many replenishments. We know all this data. So how do we harness all this data and automatically tee up where someone's going to work, or what robotic system's going to do, or what task assignment we give them? Now, it gets a little more complex when we're assigning staff, and we're in development of that. We've already released this for robotics because robotics is a little bit easier to do this, to send on missions, because we know what a robot's working on, and robots really work on repetitive tasks. And we know what mission we know which ones have availability, which ones don't, what missions they're on, and what they're completing. With staff, it gets a little bit more complex, as to what capabilities do they have? Do they have the capability to run a certain forklift? Do they have the capabilities? Have they been trained in receiving? Have they been trained in picking? How's their labor performance? Like, I want to maybe assign them to tasks where they do well, but I may want to also cross-train them in other places. And then I have to take into consideration the size of a facility. We work in some warehouses that are upward of 2 million square feet. So if I take a person and move them across the facility and assign them, it may take them 15 minutes to walk across the facility. And is there enough work to do in that time? So those are the things we're working on. And we want to give managers the ability to override those decisions as well, because maybe there's something that we don't know. Maybe there's a snowstorm, or maybe the carriers are going to pick up early. There may be things we don't know that the managers want to take into consideration, and we want to give override. So that's in progress, but we are live with it in robotics today. And I can give you an example here. It's centralized orchestration, meaning the system dynamically assigns out the work. It's a patent pending technology that JASCI's developed. We realized that we could treat robots as if they were people, and they're performing a task, and we can task them through this ALITA orchestration on missions, and they follow a workflow that's been designed in JASCI in our workflow system. It's a pretty neat, easy way to just do all the work in the workflow system, so we don't need separate platforms for everything and have to write all separate software to make things work. Now, this concept of missions, you're going to hear a lot about that in the industry, these missions. And a mission is something we send you out to do. Like, what is your mission at this point in time? So ALITA evaluates the open work. We do this for robotics right now. Looks at factors such as availability, capabilities, and then assigns missions for it to perform. And then we monitor that mission from start to completion, because as soon as you complete or it completes, we want to assign it another mission. And we do this with AGV forklifts today. We're doing this with pallet robotics. We're doing it with a number of different robotic systems, these missions. And then it makes real-time decisions by analyzing these factors. So here's an example of what ALITA looks like. Now, it's not complicated. It's making these decisions in the background, and it's giving you the visibility to see what missions are assigned. So this is an example of pallet shuttles. So this is an array, meaning that there's these new pallet shuttle systems that we're live with, that instead of having wide aisles with forklifts, this is like an array of pallet positions, and it can go vertical, as high as you want, actually, to store pallets and then retrieve pallets. And these robots are called shuttles, and we monitor the number of shuttles, and we monitor their status. Are they open, or are they on a mission, not on a mission? And then the last activity that they perform. So we're analyzing the productivity of the robots in our labor management software, because we treat them as labor. And then we look at the assignments that they have, what they've been assigned, what the work type is. We're not putting away a pallet, we're removing a pallet in this one. We give it an LPN number, and then you can look at the route, the logs, delete the mission, do all that stuff on the right-hand side. So it's an interactive system giving you what all the assignments are. But if you never looked at the screen, that would be fine. The missions are going to happen on their own regardless. They're just going to work. But if you want to monitor and look at the things or make an adjustment or look at the status, we give you the tools to do that. But this is a major area for us. This is called what we call utopia, where the system becomes, starts supervising the operations. Again, work needs to be done here. It's on the agenda for us. We see a big potential in warehouses, and this is what will give consistency to companies that have multiple facilities. They'll have different consistencies of how they run, mostly based on manual decisions. Okay, but if they're running automated decisions, we'll have, and they're very similar facilities, we will find that they run more consistently with each other. Okay, that's all I have. I don't know if I introduced myself in the beginning. I'm Craig Walensky, the CEO and co-founder of JASCI Software. I do get excited about this technology stuff because we live and breathe it, and we want to do better. You know, we always want to do better. So I am heavily involved with the direction, along with my co-founder, Dan Napoli, CTO. This is what we enjoy to do, to bring the tools for our customers to really, really compete in their marketplaces and be better. So if there's any additional questions, I can answer them, or we can conclude the webinar. And then thanks everyone for joining. So James, nothing else?
Nothing as of right now. So
okay,
good timing.
All right, thanks everyone for joining. I appreciate it, and look forward to working with you now or in the future, or customers. Thank you for joining.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Take care.
everyone.